in the last 5 years, the advances in machine learning has grown at a tremendous rate. That with computational power. And the age of AI is upon us. Autonomous intelligence, or from driverless cars to, I'm sure everyone's noticed the AI over the phone being driven now for sales and customer service. You know, recently I interacted with someone who sounded extremely real, and it was all just AI. And it's going to become harder and harder to differentiate between a real person and an AI as the AI learns from its interaction with us. The natural progression is the autonomous wall. Drones flying and monitoring, just like we have Ring on our door, right? Following us in cars, seeing where we're going. Truly, the age of Big Brother is upon us. And the question you need to ask yourself is, do you want to control the data being recorded on you, or do you want it to be given to the Big Brother, our government, for them to do what they, you know, who knows what they do with it? Or do you want some company like Google or Facebook or Amazon to take your information and know where you're going, know where you're driving, sell it to consumers, say, hey, I know someone who drives by your store every day who's never visited your store, and guess what? You know, I can target them for you because I know them. I know where they go, I know what they do. And I know what they shop. I know the color of the things they love. And they are going to so micro-target you with this additional autonomous agents that are going to be involved in all this. The autonomous wall is a way to preempt, I believe, all this. It's a way to basically solve a problem of the southern border that for over 2 years, 3 years, I've been thinking about. Every time Trump would say, build a wall, I'd think about an autonomous wall and how I would solve the problem. The 2-minute explainer video is so rudimentary. There's so much more to it. But I figure I need to get something out there just as a way to create a discussion for folks to start thinking about it. It's about data and Danos. Data and Danos. Danos are decentralized autonomous nonprofit organizations. It's a customer-owned entity where you, as a customer, or in this case as a stakeholder, we don't use it customer-owned, it's stakeholder-owned, right? Makes all the decisions. I'm just the project manager pushing this Dano forward. A pre-Dano is known as a found-up. It's a founder with an idea. I'm that guy with solving a problem, a massive problem, a southern border problem, whose goal is not to keep out the viable immigrants, but to keep out the predators, the coyotes, the drug mules, and the sex traffickers, because as individuals, we're highly predictive, and we're easily managed and watched by an autonomous agent. And just the sound of a drone will drive these people crazy. I'm a drone pilot too. And we can launch these without the need of the government, because we can go to the private landowners who are being plagued by these individuals and set up our prototypes there. But the most important thing is the Dano, because the Dano ultimately will, in the future, replace every corporation out there. There is only going to be Danos. Imagine if Facebook was a Dano, or if Amazon was a Dano. There would be no Bezos with $100 billion, right, in value. That $100 billion would be in the Dano itself, in the kind of DAO. If you're a blockchain person, think of a Dano as a specialized DAO. That 100 billion would be used to launch more found-ups that ultimately become more Danos, that launch more found-ups into Danos, into found-ups into Danos. A hyper exponential growth model that isn't built on CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, growth, G is for growth, but rather CABR, compounded annual benefit rate. Now this is extremely important. If you know what the Ouroboros is, it is the serpent or the dragon consuming itself. Well, the head of the serpent or the head of the dragon is actually our business model. This is a prediction of self-actualized Buddhas of the past who drew this symbol to represent what we're doing to the planet. The body itself is the planet. The head is our business model that drives everything. So the Dano gets us off and basically kills the snakehead. It destroys this consumption of a finite planet, an infinite agent, our business model built on CAGR, and I have talks on that. I'll put a link in the video here. Ultimately consuming our finite agent, our planet, of its limited resources. So the autonomous wall, is an opportunity to solve a problem in the South, solve a problem with our data, and more importantly, launch the seed Dano that will usher in social capitalism. My name is Mike Trout. I have a lot of talks. I've been working on this project since 2009. In 2010, by the end of 2010, I had a solution, but I couldn't get funding for it. So I reached out to Bitcoin Magazine and consulted with them. They were working on a project called Small Planet with NET. Planet, the NET was the project. It's still around on the blockchain, not as an entity, but you can talk about it. And I shared them this idea of an open innovation framework built on the Bitcoin protocol, what we call the blockchain. 2 years later, they launched Ethereum, OIF 1.0. And from Ethereum came all these other OIFs. So the open innovation framework basically changed the paradigm of success equals access to closed capital networks to success equals simply validated idea with a white paper. So my diagram is pretty prolific out there on the framework, the found up blockchain, the circle. These are all images from 2010 that I put in the Creative Commons in 2011 and 12 after sharing all my IP with the Bitcoin guys. Incidentally, Michał Lisi was the only member, not Michał Lisi, Vitalik Buterin was the only member of the team I never interacted with. I believe that's why he was the only person on the white paper, because they knew the pattern of what they developed was OIF. The smart contract is all theirs. How it was coded on the blockchain is all engineering, but all the stitching or in the development is theirs. What's mine is the bigger picture, and I was never given credit for it. But that doesn't matter because I'd put it in the Creative Commons in 2012, in January of 2012. So I've been thinking about this a long time. I know this is where we're going. I know this is why the blockchain existed or exists. It's for social capitalism.